Abuse of prescription drugs by young people is on the rise, and the CSRA is not immune to this very real issue.
A lot of young people think prescription drugs are less risky because they're prescribed by a doctor. Preventing domestic violence, it is the goal of a panel comprised of some heavy hitters, the state's attorney general, law enforcement agencies, and advocacy groups.
Hi everyone. 4 years after the invasion of Iraq, it's a good time to take stock. Since the war began, 3,192 U.S. troops have been killed, more than 24,000 wounded. At least 50,000 Iraqi civilians have died.
It's war.
What's going on, family? Welcome to the movement. This is War. We're all recovering. I'm your host, Stryker, and today we're talking about something deep, something real, something a lot of us feel but really put into words. There's a phrase that hit me the moment I saw today's guest speak, wounded healer. You ever notice how the people who show the most love, care, and encouragement are the ones who fought battles no one ever saw? The people who turned their suffering into service, the ones who didn't just survive, they learned how to help others survive too. Well, today's guest is one of those people. Blanca E. Rodriguez, author, speaker, coach, healer, a leader who took her past and said, it will not end with me. It will help someone else. Blanca, welcome to War. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Stryker. It's an honor and a joy for me to be here today.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm so super excited about this. Blanca, let's dive right in. I want to begin right where this journey really started. Not the book, not the speaking stage, but the moment you realize pain has shaped your purpose.
Well, definitely, painful moments began, unfortunately, very early in life upon the sudden death of my father. He died in a very violent way. He was victim of a armed robbery gone terribly wrong. I was 8 years old at that time, and upon his death, definitely, it was like the world turned totally upside down after that. My mother fell into a deep depression and she never recovered from it. I mean, these were the early 1970s, and these years, we all know that mental health was never spoken about. Mental illnesses were highly demonized, and my poor mother, she lived in fear and totally stigmatized with the fact that she had mental illnesses, and living in an environment like that where sudden death it happened with nobody expected. My father was only 43 years old. My mother fell in her depression that she never recovered from, and living in that kind of unstable reality and in a world of silence, because if there's one thing that I was indoctrinated into learning, it was not to speak about the dead. And it was horrible times because I had to grieve my father's loss on my own. I didn't know what that meant because I was a little girl. And before my father's death, my life was being a little kid, a happy little kid, and the youngest of 3 siblings living in New York City. And when life brought us that horrific moment, I had to learn on my own to, first of all, stay quiet, live in shame, live in fear, whatever shame, fear, emotion, sadness, devastation I felt, I had to deal with that on my own. And I didn't know how to do that. So that was definitely the beginning of where my story will bring me, which is here with you today. And that is when we see, the treasure. I mean, I found a treasure in my trash because my trash was heavy, but then the treasure came out, and it's the one of being here with you today, having a very important conversation about this.
Yes, ma'am, and I thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
I want to go back. My mother actually told me, and I was born in '79. My mother actually told me in the '70s they didn't really, you know, recognize mental illness.
Not at all.
Like it was looked down upon or something like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah, yeah. So now hearing it from you, now I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Like because I suffer from PTSD myself, so I
Yeah.
can only
Me as well.
imagine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
telling
Me as
people I
well.
have PTSD and then they don't believe me.
Yeah. And you know what? PTSD, it wasn't named officially until the 80s, actually. So all
Okay.
of these, and especially, war veterans, they live with PTSD for a very, very long time. And this is what they used to call it shell shock.
Right,
And no
right,
shit,
right.
yeah, everything fell in the category of shell shock because I had a lot of family members, uncles, cousins that they were war veterans, and a few of my uncles they ended up with schizophrenia and very severe mental illnesses, but everything was shell shock.
Right.
Everything, and it was totally incorrect. Thankfully now, fast forwarding all of these years later, we can have an open conversation of where the places where we have been. I have PTSD myself because of of critters. My poor mother, she went in, she was a hoarder, so being a hoarder brought a lot of critters, and it was a horrific environment to live at. So I know what PTSD is. I know how out of nothing a trigger can come. But the most important part is recognizing the trigger, of course, that is there. It
Right.
happens. And most of all, recognizing that we are in a safe environment now. Things are very
Right.
different.
Right.
And we have these conversations today that are so important. But I know where I come from. I know where you come from. We know where we come from. And it was a world of silence. You don't speak about nothing that is hurtful. You don't speak about your mental health. That was prohibited. And how many thousands or millions of people went silent, just like you and I did for a very long time. So this is a big blessing that that we have been opening our minds, and especially after the pandemic, it hit us so hard. We have now this amazing platform where we can showcase ourselves and tell anybody out there living in silence, hey, find support. You need it, you deserve it, and it's available, and it's more in the open than ever. And I'm very happy to see these things now, what it used to be before and what it is now. Yeah.
Right. Well said. Well said. And that's exactly why I'm doing this, Blanca, this whole podcast to kind of for therapy. It's therapeutic and to have people
Absolutely.
get their stories out,
Absolutely. Very important. Very important
Right.
to tell our stories, because stories can change the world. That's for sure.
Right. Definitely. Now, can you take us back to the first time you understood that what you had gone through could actually be used to help someone else?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I grew up in an environment, since my parents always helped someone. My father, we moved from Puerto Rico to the mainland many years ago because my father wanted to conquer the American dream. This was back in the early 60s. And he conquered the American dream. He became a business owner, abundant. And if there's one thing that I saw from both my parents was they had this heart for giving and for helping others. So I carried that with me all the way to my 30s. That is when I finally understood that, okay, everything that happened so far in my life, it was with a higher purpose, and it was with a purpose kind of bigger than myself. And I understood that even more when I became a mother. I'm a mother of two amazing kids. And within their being born, I said to myself, they're not going to have the same traumas that I carry. Their lives are going to be different. And in order to make that happen, the first person that needed to change and improve was me. It was the rooting of all of it. So that is when I finally started breaking my silence, because it was a silence of many, many years since I was 8 years old, all the way to my mid-30s, that I started little by little breaking my silence, little by little seeking professional support that I needed, deserve, that it was, I was way past due to let that happen. And once I got support, I said, okay, here I am in my mid-30s, heading to my 40s, finally seeking support, finally getting something that I really needed. And I finally understood after all of those years that I couldn't do it alone. I tried, but I wasn't successful at doing everything alone. It was just not real. So when this support happened, it was a new door, and it was a new way to visualize life. It's like, oh, okay, I am not this person just because of shame, just because of not feeling worthy. That's why I most of the time did everything on my own, because I really, to be honest, I didn't think I was worthy of anybody's help or anybody's attention. So yeah, when I finally started getting that support, I said, okay, I think there's something bigger than myself that is happening here. And having a daughter, having a son, and understanding that they deserve to have open conversations. We all deserve to be supported and to be taken seriously and to receive that empathy, that compassion. It's very important to, okay, I give empathy, I give compassion. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I've been taking care of a lot of people through my very vast career, but understanding is like, okay, I give all this help. How about I receive it for a change? Mm-hmm. And that's when a new door definitely opened. And I said, okay, I'm a giver, but being a receiver is equally good for all parts. So for all parties involved. So yeah, that's how I definitely started to let that door open to receiving, to being a receiver, because I grew up in an environment that is like, no, you don't receive. You just give, and forget about receiving. No, you don't do that. You shouldn't have. You didn't have to. How many times we have heard about something receiving something and saying, you didn't have to. You shouldn't have. Yes, you do. Thank you. I'll receive it. Thank you. How about that for a change? Definitely. Right. So it's very important. And that's how I finally, in my 30s, I realized that, okay, there is a mission here that is bigger than myself. And becoming a mother was that one door that opened. It's like, okay, this is not only about me anymore. And that's a very important thing to live with.
So you're hitting me like all over right now. Like I'm feeling everything you're saying, because a lot of men, especially me, is guilty of that, not accepting help. We think we could do it on our own. And my healing didn't really start until I started accepting help. And so I started being vulnerable and, letting people help me. That's when the healing really began for me. So I feel everything you're saying. And, speaking of healing, what did healing look like in the early stages for you? Slow? Was it sudden? Messy?
Wow. You know what, Stryker? It was all of the above that you said. It was slow, it was healing, it was messy, it was scary. It was intimidating, because I was this kind of person, and I know it happens to many of us out there, that we think that running away from the issue, running away from whatever hit us hard, running away from the trauma is going to solve anything. Because here I was, this is my experience, I was in this train of thought. It's like, you know what? The more I just forget about it, it'll be okay, because I will just forget about it. Well, we do not confront trauma by running away from it. We confront trauma by facing it head on. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, here I am now. Let's start peeling the layers of that onion one by one by one. And if it gets messy, that's the way it is. It's not linear. Okay, especially recovering from childhood trauma. I carried a lot of childhood trauma for many, many decades, and it just kept on building up and building up and building up, one trauma after the other, the other, the other. So to start peeling those layers of all of this trauma ever since my father died when I was 8 years old till becoming a book co-author at age 52, that's a long journey from one age to the other and everything in between. But the most important part is understanding that the journey is individual. The journey is ours. There is no reason why to compare. There is not a magic wand that bling, you are cured, nothing, no harm will come to you. That is not real. We pick up the pieces and we learn new tools to understand that, okay, that was a season of my life that passed. It doesn't mean that it's going to be repeated over and over and over again. Now, on the other hand, if we try to let go of trauma by forgetting about it, this trauma will repeat over and over and over again with different faces, with different situations until the trauma is dealt with. Okay, I'm a sexual violence survivor myself, and it started at a very, very young age. I was 9 years old when I was assaulted for the first time. So my silence, because I didn't know anything else but shut up and keep it quiet and shut up. So I didn't understand anything but that. But then the trauma kept on repeating itself over and over and over with different faces, different situations, sexual harassment, sexual assault. Even my ex-partner, he assaulted me too. And I was like, when is this going to end? How do we end it? By facing the trauma. How do we end it? By putting a stop and saying, you know what? That was then. This is now. Whatever happened before, it doesn't mean that I am not safe anymore, because I felt unsafe in my body. I felt like I had nowhere to turn to. And being a licensed massage therapist is like, okay, this is the perfect storm for something wrong to happen. Well, that is not the case. Definitely. I think as long as we have a brain and a voice, we have a lot to say, and we're in a safer environment now. I'm in a safe environment now, and definitely is a job, and it's a journey that is for the rest of my life. So if anybody has traumatic experiences like being a sexual assault survivor, you are a survivor. Life will never be the same again. But there's so many tools to pick up to embrace. For example, to start loving ourselves again, to start embracing our bodies again, because it's something very invasive. It's very violent. I mean, I went through all of this violence when I was 9 years old. I didn't have the slightest comprehension of what was happening to me. All I knew that it was wrong. All I knew is that I didn't understand what was happening and why was this happening. The moment that I stopped being the victim of the situation is when the turnaround came. The moment when I started talking about it, so 1, 2, 1,000 people, men or women, will say, damn, I went through that too. And it doesn't take away from the fact that, yes, the trauma is there, but I am safe now. I'm healing in this journey. I'm a happy woman now. I'm happily married to a wonderful human being. So yes, changes do happen. And yes, we can make it better for ourselves. But that magic wand that you're cured and you will, and then you're fully healed for the rest of your life, I don't think that's real. And that will be too much of a burden and too much of a heavy weight on someone's shoulders to say, oh, I want to heal now. No, it doesn't happen that way. Yeah. Newsflash.
I wish it was real. I wish it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry for everything that you've been through. Nobody should have to go through that, especially at an early age like that. Mm-hmm. That's just, and it's still happening, these days out there. It's crazy. I can't,
Yeah.
like, and, it's making, that's why Wounded Healer resonates so much with me. And you wear that like a badge of honor. Most people, like we said, most people, like you said, most people run from what, hurt them, but you leaned into it. It made you stronger. What does being a wounded healer mean to you?
Yes, yes. Well, I participated some time ago in this podcast, and this lovely gentleman, he named our episode "The Diary of a Wounded Healer," and that's why I say it's like, okay, that is gonna be the name of my business, because wounded healers, we are wounded healers right here in this conversation. You, I, we grab all of these very difficult seasons in our lives and make it become the fuel that inspires us every day to help others. We're helping others right here, right now. So yes, I mean, the wounded healer, I am the wounded healer, and I use all of my dark seasons as the fuel that inspires me every day to help others improve their quality of life, no matter what age we are, men, woman. I was in another podcast with this lovely gentleman from Dominican Republic. He is a sexual assault survivor. If it's horrible for women to admit that these things happen, I mean, society-wise, for a man is 10 times worse to admit to something as invasive as being a survivor himself. And this lovely gentleman, he's like, you know how long it took me to say something? He made even a podcast out of it, because now he all his suffering, he turned it around into wisdom. He turned it around into purpose, just like we are doing right here, right now. And I think that is a beautiful thing to do, especially with the gentlemen out there. I mean, really, don't do this alone. Don't stay quiet. There's a lot of people out there like this gentleman, like myself, that is like, okay, we kept silence for long enough, and enough is enough with the silence.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Let it cook, Blanca. Let it cook. You cooking. Okay. I love it. I love it. Because a lot of us who help others struggle, to help ourselves, like we was kind of saying earlier. How did you learn to pour without pouring yourself empty?
How do I learn to pour without getting myself empty? You know what? I do a lot of prayer. And my prayer is about exercising gratitude more than anything. And I exercise gratitude every day, Stryker, because my life could have ended 20 years ago before I turned 40. Because I was in a very dark space in my life for a very long time. And I don't know how this body could take all that it took. And just by that alone, I'm grateful every day. I'm grateful for being here. I'm grateful to have this beautiful platform to express ourselves. And to me, prayer is very important. Meditation, I do a lot of guided meditation, because I am not really into just sitting down and in silence, because I go in squirrel mode. I get too distracted. So I do guided meditation. I have a very good mentor of mine that he says that prayer is talking to God and meditation is listening to God. And I'm like, well, I love that. So I do a lot of that. I mean, self-care is the best care. And whatever works for us, as long as we do it for ourselves, because everybody is different. Everybody is in this world, everybody is different. Some people just want to sit at their porch and read a good book. And if that is your way to unwind, to feel better, to have your you time, that's really good. Some other people are like me. I like to do my prayer, my meditation, and I'm very physically active. So I go outside, I go to the gym, I go to the class. I'm an instructor too. So that is the best medicine for me to go through the day as positive as possible. Now, when dark moments happen, because life gets lifing, okay? We're not all about roses and berries and all that stuff. That is not real, bro. What do you do when the crap hits the fan? breathe, pray, breathe. Oh my God, how important it is to breathe. Breathe slowly, deeply. Write it down. Journal. Journal is not only for the girls when they're 13 years old and mommy is being aggravating to them. No, journal is one of the most powerful tools for self-care there is, because you're writing for yourself. I write for myself when I say, oh my God, I am so pissed off. God damn it. And it was for me. And after all that writing that I cuss and I say and I throw everything around, then it's like, oh, I feel better now. But it was through writing. How important it is to write for ourselves, not everybody else. And then physical activity, praying, meditation, understanding that, you know what? This too does pass. That is the most important part. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Blanca, I'm just sitting here in amazement right now. I'm so thankful that I opened up my day with the podcast with this interview with you, because
thank you.
Yes, ma'am, because everything you're saying right now, I do video shorts every day for the people, and I did shorts about breathing today. It's called a moment of peace. And I did that short today. And yesterday I did another short, and it has something to do with, you know, what exactly what you said just now. Like you said breathing. What was the other one?
Breathing, meditation.
It was another one. Meditation, prayer, but it was another one you had said.
Journaling,
yes, I did one on journaling the other day too. So everything you're talking about is hitting me, like everything is crazy right now. Yeah. Thank you so much.
And if you are a music fan like I am, I grew up around music and dancing. I mean, I've been a dancer all of my life. And thanks to my parents, they used to have this huge collection of what they used to call long plain records. It's vinyl today, but they used to have all of that. And I would listen to music every single day of my life. I've been listening to music, to some sort of music, and music is powerful. Music is a healer. We just need to pick and choose what works for us. But music is for every single emotion you can be going through. There's a song for your emotion. There's a song for a better day. There's a song for a dark day. There's a song for hysterics. There's a song for I am tired of this person, let's throw them away. I mean, all of these things, there's music for that, because music definitely is a healer. That's for sure.
Yes, ma'am, definitely. Mm-hmm. For someone listening right now who feels called to help others but is still hurting, where do they begin?
You know what? I believe that any journey to helping others improve themselves is start with us. I've been a medical massage therapist for 20 years, and in my early years in this phenomenal craft of mine, I will be focusing on helping others, and you should do this, and you should do that, and you should do, and focusing what works for these people. But how about when I apply it to myself? How about practicing what we preach? Oh, I have heard that phrase so many years ago. Since I was a little girl, I've been listening. So you got to practice what you preach. You got to practice what you preach. It's very easy to say you got to practice what you preach until you put it into practice. And it's very easy for us to give advice. But then how about when we choose to apply that advice to ourselves? What happens there? That's when it can get uncomfortable. That's when it can get pretty messy in there. And you know what? Get involved in that mess of yours, because there's only one way to fix the mess a little bit to the best of our capacity, and it's by facing that mess. Okay? How do we clean a house that, for example, a closet that is full of stuff that we don't need, and you just open the door of the closet, it's like, oh my God, that is terrible, I'm just going to do it later. But when the time finally comes, it's like, okay, I'm going to get it done. How does it get first in order to get cleaner, in order to organize it? It gets even more messier because that closet, you have to take everything out in order to organize it and put it back in. So what stays behind in that closet that you took all that mess out of that closet? What stays behind? What you don't need, what it doesn't serve you any better. How about bringing a bag and giving away? The best gift is the one of giving. How about things that you haven't worn in 6 months? You won't wear them in 6 more years, that's for sure. So give. How about give? How about take that mess or take that treasure, take that trash out and make a treasure out of it. Like giving away. Make something more purposeful out of whatever insignificant we may think it is. Maybe it will be the most amazing thing from someone else. So it's very important to think outside that box. Do something that is bigger than yourself. How about clean that darn closet and give? How about give to the ones that really need it? How about you make somebody's day by opening a door for someone? Give a nice smile. How about going to Walmart and telling that cashier, you know what? I love your hair today. It makes a difference in anybody's life. Practice it because you will find that it's so good to bring a smile on someone's face just for that moment, and it's totally worth it. Yeah.
Well, changing people's lives, and I can't wait to show this episode. This is going to be so impactful for people. I'm sitting here. I'm going to go clean the closet after this. I got to tell you, I'm like right now, I'm just like on cloud 9 right now. Oh man. Let's talk about your book. The book Impact, your book Impact Leadership is about leading with empathy, awareness, and courage, right? Mm-hmm. How does pain shape a leader differently than privilege does?
You know what? In my experience of working with many people of all social statures, this is what happens with, I have met quite a few people from higher statures and being, being born with a silver spoon in their mouth. I have heard that a lot. But in my life, in my younger years, I never met anybody like that until I worked for recovery centers for drug addiction and alcohol abuse for 2.5 years. I was massaging there. And if there's a lesson that I learned in these places is that what do you have to hide when you have gone so low, when you have fallen so badly in life? And I would be talking to people. There was this young man, designer, making multi-million-dollar designer, and he was recovering from a drug overdose. And he said something that really got me. He said, it's like, just because I was born with the damn silver spoon in my mouth, it didn't mean that I was going through horrible moments in my life. He was living a life of quiet desperation. His parents were very high-end people, doctors, lawyers, and of course they wanted him to be a doctor or a lawyer. And when they found their son that he said, no, I want to do this, then he was rejected, neglected, and they were like, no, you're now no good for us anymore. And yes, even though he became a well-known designer, he was still at a very quiet war with himself and his low self-esteem because his parents wouldn't approve of him. So when he tells me, it's like, it doesn't matter how many millions of dollars I may have, I was miserable and I wanted my life to end. And that's why he OD'd, but he was brought back. And he said that now that he had this opportunity, that he was brought back from the dead, he said it's like that it was time to stop blaming his environment for his calamities in life and start using whatever he'd been through for a better purpose. That really struck me. and it struck me hard. So yeah, just because, people may be born into better financial stature, it doesn't mean in any way or form that they wouldn't have this horrible experiences going on in their lives. I am life coaching a gentleman that he's in his 70s, and here we go again, born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he lived in an environment that their parents hated each other. They were insulting each other every single day. And he's like, to this day, I don't understand why they didn't divorce. So, living a life like that, where all you see around you is violence and fights and hitting each other. Yeah, it takes a toll. It takes a toll on someone. Definitely. But the only thing he says that the only thing that was different for him is that he wore designer clothes and he lived in a big house.
Yep.
Yeah. So
that's crazy.
When we're going through situations, it doesn't matter how deep the pocket is. You can live a life of a lot of misery. I mean, with or without the money. That is for sure. My book is called Impact Leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have the
available
links and everything.
In Amazon, Kindle, and paperback.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
I'm gonna have the descriptions and everything for everybody.
And basically, this is absolutely. So yeah, this book is about all of us co-authors being in very dark moments in our lives and making it through the other side, and describing how it is possible to make it better in life, no matter where we come from. That's basically it.
Ma'am. Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. I will be getting that book.
Yes, please.
Yes, ma'am. What is the biggest misconception people have about strength?
The biggest misconception about strength is this. I am strong every day, and there is nothing that will make me fall down. There is nothing that will make me vulnerable. There is nothing that will make me suffer. There is nothing that will make me weak, because I'm strong. Strength is built around falling down. Strength is built around dark seasons. Strength is built around weak moments. And it takes failure to see success. It doesn't matter, and it's not the success of, I'm a professional, successful professionally. No. How about success of the heart and the soul and the mind? How about spiritual success? How about being a successful parent? How about having a successful marriage or a successful relationship? How about having a successful friendship with someone that it lasts for decades and decades and decades? That takes hard work and dedication. Mm-hmm. So yes, success is in the eye of the beholder. And to me, I may not be the most successful, let me see, that I have a Lamborghini or a Porsche in my driveway, but you know what? I have 2 adult kids that they live their lives outside of Florida, and you know who they want to be with when they come to Florida? Mama. So I am a successful parent. Yeah, my son is coming in tomorrow, and I just saw my daughter yesterday. And yeah, that's a blessing, and I'm very grateful every day, grateful for the definition of strength that we may say is like, strength is pretending that you're strong. No, strength is showing vulnerability and still kicking ass when you're vulnerable. That is strength. Yeah.
Say it again. Yes, ma'am. Yes. A lot of men need to hear that. Mm-hmm. A lot of men need to hear that. And it took me a while to accept that. Like I've heard that a lot, and it took me a while to get out of my feelings and be like, okay, let me be vulnerable. But I swear, when that happened for me, everything changed. Everything.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right.
I feel the same way, and I feel with you, Stryker, because the moment that I stopped pretending to be the strongest lady around, that's when real strength really was born in my life, to show vulnerability, to show weakness. It's like, you know what, I cannot deal with this right now. I'm overwhelmed. Let me just put it to the side and I'll come back to it. That is strength. Strength is recognizing when your capabilities are fragile that day. But how about tomorrow? You're feeling a little stronger. You're feeling better. But how about today? Letting you feel what you're feeling, and tomorrow will be a better day. Definitely.
Yes, you're so right. Yes, yes. I love it. If leadership is influence, Blanca, what influenced you the most in your life?
So through leadership, the one thing that has influenced me the most are leaders that they show their true colors. I am not interested in a leader that is going to be up here and I'm looking from down here. I believe in a leader that is vulnerable. I believe in a leader that it doesn't look down at people. That is very important. I believe in a leader that will let others shine, even if that leader, even if that person, that your student becomes your leader. I believe in leadership like that. True leaders are the ones that will let others shine with their own light. I'm a true believer of that. A true leader will let others grow, will let others blossom into what they are meant to be. That is true leadership to me.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. Mm-hmm. You are a woman with many, many talents, Blanca. Massage therapy, canine therapy, which I got to talk to you offline about that. Fitness instruction, life coaching. Every one of these touches the soul through the body, right? So what has the body taught you about healing, about emotional healing?
So we are beings, you know, this phrase, body, mind, and soul. Okay, there's always a body, mind, and soul connection. That's totally true. Why is this? Because with my career in massage therapy, our specialty is to manipulate soft tissue or muscle with the purpose of healing or relaxation. So this is what happens to our muscle mass when we are stressed out, when we are bottling things in, when we are secretive. It'll take over the weakest spots of our body. Example, I have scoliosis in my neck, okay? If I am going through a very bad day, what is the first place that it gets tight? Right up there. People with migraines, another example, people with migraines. Oh my God, I've been so stressed out and this migraine is killing me. So what you're feeling emotionally, it'll express immediately through the weakest parts of our body physically. Okay? And I'm telling it again for those of you in the back. Okay? When you are stressed out, when you're feeling emotional, when you are sad, when you're angry, when you're stressed, when you're anxious, it'll express and it'll reflect on the weakest sides of our bodies. You have lower back issues, okay? Let's see. Oh, I've been fragile in my lower back. I had a fall, whatever the case may be. And I had a bad moment. What happens? Your lower back is the first place where it's going to start to hurt physically, okay? It gets tight physically. The sciatic nerve will start hurting and it'll go down your leg physically. But yes, this is definitely the body, mind, spirit connection. What we are feeling emotionally, it'll immediately reflect physically on our bodies. And how do we calm ourselves down? The most quickest way to calm the senses is through breathing. Okay, breathing exercises. I promise you this, and this, I'm not making this up. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe, but I research a lot, and I love to tell as much information as people can get, the better. You do 3 times. Okay, for example, box breathing. This is what they call box breathing. That you breathe 4 seconds you inhale, 4 seconds of holding, 4 seconds of exhaling, and 4 seconds of holding. This is the box breathing. You do box breathing 3 times, okay? Our brains process things easier than anything else in order of 3s. I'm not making this up. I just made my homework. It's like, well, you do this box breathing 3 times in a row. I promise you that by the 3rd time, you're like, oh, okay. I feel like my chest is not like shutting up on me anymore. So yes, it's very, very interesting. All of these very easy tools that we have on hand, because if we don't breathe, what happens? Well, we're not here anymore. So let's use our breathing for the better good. I do a lot of breathing exercises every single day of my life. And especially when I'm massaging people that I may be on the table with someone that is very stressed out. You know, these hands have felt a lot, and a lot of people breathe. Breathe, put it into prayer, because these hands, when you go in contact with someone else, that bond is unbreakable. And whatever the massage therapist will feel, or whatever the therapist is going through, for example, if I'm going through a very stressful day, I do everything in my power for when I put my hands on the client, that I am not stressed out at that moment, because it has nothing to do with my client. And it will be a disservice to this client for me to transmit my stress to this person. It's not fair. How do I handle this? Breathe. Breathe deeply, slowly. And I promise you that your stress levels will go down like this. Promise.
Yep. And that's why, that's why doctors tell you, if you go in and they take your blood pressure, to breathe, just breathe.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense. And I was in the PTSD program that was big on box breathing. You know, I forgot all about it until you just said it. They were big on it. They made sure we did box breathing. Like, they would have a therapist come in and she would guide us through our box breathing session.
I love it.
And it actually did help. So
it's
you're getting some good information.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me. Why do you think so many people today are disconnected from themselves physically?
I believe that the overstimulation of too much information can make people overwhelmed. And with this overwhelming, what do we do when we are too overwhelmed? I want to numb myself. I want to forget about it. I don't want to hear it. And this is, and why people disconnect themselves from their bodies. It may be because I did it myself for a very long time. Pain, childhood trauma. It is proven that 2/3 of all of us in this planet will suffer a traumatic event by the time we reach 16 years old. And what I am seeing more than ever in these platforms is that a lot of younger people, their walls close in and they don't find a way out. So they end everything. They end life. And I believe that this total disconnection with who we are and the essence of who we are is causing a lot of this, because when we are in the highest of the high, it's great. We are recognized. People love us. But when those dark days come that nobody cares and nobody wants to hear you and people want to sweep the floor with you, what happens with those times when nobody is recognizing you and putting you in a pedestal? That's when it gets bad. And that's when a lot of people give up way too soon, because that stimulation coming from the outside is the most important thing for them, when we should be focusing on the conversation that we have with ourselves. What is the most important conversation that we have in this world? The one with ourselves. And there's conversations, because I used to have conversations with myself, and all I did was humiliate me, disrespect myself. Why are you so stupid? Why are you such an idiot? Oh my God, you're so dumb, woman. Oh, you dropped this. Oh, you're so stupid. And what we say about ourselves, we got to watch out with that because it may become a reality. There's this phenomenal book that I recommend to all of my clients. I always buy one to all of my clients for life coaching. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself by Shad Hemstetter, PhD. It's a beautiful book of changing the narrative of how we express about ourselves. That is so important. And it's a book about reconnecting with ourselves and who we are and what we say. Because I was that person that I always been insulting myself, right? Thomas, what the heck is a stupid woman? Then I would do it in English and Spanish. 2 languages to make it a double whammy. Holy smokes, woman. Not anymore. It's like, okay, you know, our internal conversation definitely is the one thing that we are losing more and more, that we are being so hard on ourselves. I tell my daughter, stop being so hard on yourself, because you know what? We can be our worst enemies just by what we think about ourselves. So yes, please watch out, reconnect with yourself, make your own company the most important company that you can have. Spend time with yourself. Introduce yourself to you again. Look at yourself in that mirror and say, hey, you're looking good, girl, huh? Yeah. I love you. Yes, why not? Why not? It's about time.
Why not? Why not?
Why not? Exactly. The same way you say, it's like, oh my God, you look so ugly today. Oh my God, what is wrong with those lines on that forehead? Nah, dude. It's like, oh, those lines on that forehead, it means I'm 60. And 60, I'm fabulous. So yeah. Change the narrative, you will change your life. That's for sure.
I love it. I love your style. I love it. So you grew up in New York City?
Yeah, I was born in New York City and raised in Puerto Rico.
Okay. What part of New York?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I like you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love it.
Okay.
Yes, I was born in Manhattan, Beth Israel Hospital. I think that hospital is still around. And yeah, Brooklyn, definitely. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got all my family is still in New York.
Oh, I love that. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. My aunt is from Puerto Rico, so.
Oh yeah? Oh, love that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay. I love it. Okay. So someone listening right now, Blanca, and they feel numb. What is one simple physical practice they can start today?
Feeling numb is being overwhelmed. Okay, when we go, it's like, oh my God, I'm just numb. It's because that mind is going 150 miles per hour and you are like a squirrel thinking about 10 things at the same time and not knowing which one to solve first. So when it comes to feeling numb, here we go again with exercising gratitude. Here we go again with praying. Here we go again with saying, you know what? God, higher power, whatever you like to call it, whatever you believe in is just fine. It is to be respected. But understanding one thing, we don't have control about much of our lives, okay? The only, and this I heard from someone and I loved it in a masterclass, the only thing we have total control of is how we wake up in the morning and what we do in the morning, every morning, and how we go to sleep at night. What are we going to do at night when we go to sleep? When you get into bed, your side of the bed. Those two. What happens in between morning and evening, you can have a planner. I have a planner. I plan things. I'm a planner. I love to plan things. But how is it going to go in between? We have no control about it. So if you're feeling numb, do yourself a favor, because I do myself a favor when I'm in that numb state. I just went through that because I was moving and I was practicing for TEDx. I was in like, it was like a tornado with a hurricane together. And what do? I'm not going to do nothing, because that's how we get numb. It's like, this is too much for me. I'm just going to arms drop. No. Make a list. What is your highest priority? What is the simplest thing that you can solve and get it out of the way? How about you do it in 20-minute increments? What can you do in 20 minutes? This one errand or one chore that you can do in 20 minutes and you get it out of the way. Don't overwhelm yourself with a list of 27 things that you're going to do in one day, because that is not going to take you anywhere. It's going to make it even worse. How about you unnumb yourself by saying, thank you for being alive one more day, and I will take it as it goes. And that list of 2 or 3 things, how about you start with 2 things only? Something that won't make you numb, something that won't overwhelm you, and go from there. I promise you, it does work. I have attention deficit hyperactive disorder. Do you know I go from here and here and here and here and not finish anything? That's why it has to be compacted into, okay, I'll do these 3 things just for today, and hopefully I'll finish them all. And if I finish 1 or 2, then it's like, okay, I'm getting closer to doing things in a way that works for me. Don't compare yourself. Do what works for you. Do something, do it in a way that it won't overwhelm you and drive you crazy because the list was so long that you basically didn't get anything done. Because people ADHD like me, I get overwhelmed like this because of the list being so long. But how about 2 things? It's like, oh, I can do that. I can do that. And then I can go like a squirrel and try to, yeah, because it's all over the place. And I don't blame, all of us that are in this situation. Or it's like, I'm doing everything and I'm not doing anything at the same time. I totally understand. But if you do in order of 2 or 3s, I think that will really, really help. And you can unnumb yourself that way.
You were dropping some jewels right now. I could have you on do like a part 2, part 3, part 4. Like, I could talk to you forever. This is amazing. You volunteer with survivors, people who have been through deep trauma and silence. I have a question that a guy wanted me to ask you, actually. What does safety look like to someone who never had it?
That is a good one. For all the years that I felt unsafe, in a very unsafe environment since I was a little kid, and with the loss of my father and everything, and my mother's mental illness. My mother was a very violent person, and the environment was unsafe at all times. Okay. My mother she was so unstable that sometimes she will be laughing and joyful, and then a second later she will be cussing and insulting, and it was a very difficult environment. And for coming from me, that I was in an unsafe environment for so long, I understood that first of all, the wound is not our fault. Okay, my mother's wound are not my fault, but the healing is our responsibility. So healing myself from all of that unsafe environment, the trauma, the childhood trauma, the loss, the sexual assault, all of these things, it's been always up to me to heal myself. It's been always up to me to make that decision, get out of that comfort zone, because yes, even though it was a tragic situation and I was in this horrible environment, I didn't know any better. I was used to being in this chaotic environment until it was time to get out of my comfort zone of being in a chaotic environment and start understanding that there is better for me in life, that there's some changes to be made, because life doesn't get better by chance. It gets better by change. And we're the only ones capable of these changes. And we're the only ones who can work for it without expecting an applause, without expecting admiration from no one. You cannot be expecting nothing from no one except yourself. So if you want to get out of an unsafe situation, you got to pick up those tools, get uncomfortable. Please do get uncomfortable, because it's worth it. It's worth to get out of that comfort zone of chaos and pursue calm and pursue better and pursue a safer environment. I worked on that, but that was not the magic wand. There's no magic wand. You become what you do with your life. And the only person that can do these things is you. Nobody can do it for you. So wake up, please. You want to get in a safer environment, you make it happen. That's for sure.
Right. And I used to always you're hitting on some great things. I used to tell people, if it feels uncomfortable, trying to heal, that means you're doing the work. So you gotta, a little bit, be uncomfortable a little bit.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So, Blanca, I call this movement W.A.R. We're all recovering, because healing is not a straight line, like you said before.
That's
and
right.
I believe everybody has some kind of trauma going on. And if not right now, they will encounter some kind of trauma in this lifetime. It's life, it's daily, it's messy, it's powerful. And, we do not do it alone, So when you think about your journey, your calling, and where you are now, what are you most proud of?
The one thing that I am most proud of is breaking my silence. That's by far. Breaking my silence has taken me where I never thought that I would be at. And just by breaking my silence is taking me to very powerful places, like right here, right now. I did a TEDx talk just last week, and I never thought in my life that I will become a TEDx speaker. And I became that. And it's thanks to breaking my silence all of these years ago through the form of a chapter in a book, and how the ripple effect or domino effect came right after, and it followed one thing after the other, and it has me here today. And the one thing that I can say is a blessing, I'm honored, I'm proud, is to break my silence once and for all, because my mother is 94 years old. She never broke her silence in her trauma. Never. And I know what that is. I know what it feels like. I see it every time I go visit her. My mom has advanced stages of dementia. Whatever happened to my mother is too late for her to break her silence, because it's too late. And definitely through the eyes of my mother, I have learned that it's like the more I say something, the more I honor her for this. Just talking about her mental illness and how dark it was for her, where she is right now, she never broke her silence. I broke my silence. And it's one of the most empowered things that I have done in my life. And I'm very grateful every single day for all of the people that believed in me, my supporters, my counselors. Yes, I went to counselor. Yes, I went to the psychiatrist, to the psychologist. I use all of them because it was for the better good of my progress in life. How am I going to say no? How am I going to say, oh no, I should shut up about it and not say that I went to a psychiatrist? No, I went to all of them, and I'm very happy to say that. And I want more, definitely, because you know what? They are the professionals. They're here, there to help, and they helped me break my silence. So that is the one thing that I would cherish it as long as I live. That's for sure.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And God bless your mother. And,
yes.
Yes, and keep her healthy. And, she's 90, you said 94?
94.
That's amazing. I could only pray my mom is around that long. That's amazing. God bless her.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what is one message, Blanca, you want to speak directly to the person listening who thinks they are too broken to heal?
Well, the message that I have for all of you is this: don't let your past define what you're going to do in your present life or in the future. And if you feel that broken, I've been there myself. You've been there yourself as well. And we are all capable of turning something ugly into something useful, turning the darkness into light for others. Because when we are about growth and contribution, especially the contribution side of things, that is when drastic changes do come our way. That is for sure. And I am here to tell all of you, it's like, don't let the darkness of your past keep on taking you down and dragging you down because of the mistakes, because of the failures. In every single success, there's always failure involved. Okay, so don't feel like, oh, all of these people, they have wonderful, shiny lives because they're so perfect. Nobody is perfect. And I believe that life is about progress, never perfection. Keep on making progress a little teeny tiny bit at a time every day. You got this. I promise you that. And the most important part, don't do it alone, please.
Thank you, Blanca. Thank you for your transparency, for your leadership. This has been amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, this made my day. For turning pain into purpose and making it, a path others can walk, I'm going to be honest. I have 3 episodes to air before yours. I'm pushing you ahead of the line because people need to hear this.
Thank you.
You're the next episode to drop, Blanca, because this is amazing. Family, if you got something from this, take it with you. Share it, apply it, because healing is a community mission. We are not doing this alone. Stay sturdy, each one reach one, and remember, we're all recovering. Thank you, Blanca. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
The invasion of Iraq is a good time to take stock. Since the war began, 3,192 U.S. troops have been killed, more than 24,000 wounded. At least 50,000 Iraqi civilians have died.
It's war.